Staying neutral. So, when it comes to being neutral, what does that mean to you? Because sometimes, for some individuals, you can think of staying neutral or, oh, I'm resting, or I'm being humble, or I'm staying still. But the thing is, as an entrepreneur, even just about being human, to be honest, when you are neutral, you're not involving, you're not growing, and you're not moving forward. Think about a car. When a car is in neutral, where is it going? Where is it going? And it doesn't matter whether you have an automatic or a manual. Well, if it's a manual, it depends on where you are when it's in neutral. You could be going backwards, especially if you're on a hill. It can be a slight hill, but you're going to be going backwards. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. But anyway, when it comes to being neutral can stagnate, can stall you, or it can stop you. And you hear me talk about self-care. We are redefining of what self-care is. Self-care generally is giving yourself the thing that you need so that you can move to the next moment, so you can move in your movement, and especially when it comes to your calling as an entrepreneur. Because sometimes you can get stuck in neutral. And when you are stuck in neutral, where are you going? Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes you may be waiting on others, but it's really you're waiting on you to feed and fuel yourself. And most of the time, y'all, you already have it. It's really the repetition of you repeating, of you giving yourself the things that you already have. And this is where the renewing of your mind and meditate on the word day and night, meaning that you continue to practice the strip, you continue to do the thing that's going to get you better. And half of the time, I'm going to say this, at least for myself. For me, one of the reasons I wasn't always repeating, because I really didn't understand how it worked. It's like behavioral health wise, mental health wise, I knew how it worked. But it works everywhere. It doesn't matter where it is. So, are you going to stay in neutral? And when I say this, I'm talking about in every area in your life, because when it comes to self-care, and there's 4 pillars of self-care plus one, but all of it is impacting you mentally, physically, spiritually, and even financially. And so anytime that you are in neutral, where are you going? You're not going anywhere. Are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your mind? What are you fueling your mind with? What are you inspiring your mind with? What are you motivating your mind with? Take the master class. Okay, get coaching. Do that. But then how are you executing, implementing? How are you taking action? How are you doing those things? Because you can have all of the information, because if you're not making any movement, you're stalling, you're in neutral. But I want to make sure that you are filling your mind up with the things that's needed. So that goes to, what are you really watching? I'm not a news person. Sometimes if something is quote unquote hot, I may catch it, but generally I've been stopped being a news person. Even when I was in high school, I can remember feeling a certain kind of way about the news. But definitely once I became a young adult, because I saw how I was reacting, I was like, I don't need this kind of energy. So, what about you? What are you cutting out so that you won't be in neutral? Because sometimes you all think, some of you, should I say, think, oh, let me get this news. What's going on? But it is attacking your nervous system, because if you are in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, it neutralizes you. Oh, yeah. Oh, ah, ah. Did y'all just hear what I just said? If you are in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, it neutralizes you. You're in neutral. So where are you going? We already know you can't go nowhere in neutral. The only way you can go, ooh, y'all, I'm getting these downloads right here. The only place that you can go in neutral in your car when you're at the car wash. When you are at the car wash. So there are times that it may be okay for you to be in neutral. But when you are in neutral at the car wash, what is it doing? It's getting clean. It's removing the dirt. So what dirt, what trash, what baggage are you moving out of your mind, out of your body, in your spirit, so that new things can come in? Because we're at the top. We're at the top of the year, and people are like, oh, new year, new me. So how are you performing in a new way? How are you performing in a new way? Because again, if you're in neutral too long, you're not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere. So we talk about your mind. What about your body? Because sometimes if you're not doing anything so that your body can be healthy, that is getting enough rest, feeding yourself the things that is nutritional, that's good for your body. Are you moving? And just as equal as moving, are you staying still so that you can rejuvenate? So it's rest and recover, especially as an entrepreneur. Because when things are not healthy, if you're not moving enough, if you're not strengthening or maintaining your strength, that can put you in neutral mode too, meaning that's when you end up having dis-ease. So there are things that you can do to undo some of the dis-ease that you're having. But you got to be doing something. You can't just be in neutral and say, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow, or I don't have time to be able to do those things. The thing is, what are you doing now? Because what you're doing now is impacting you tomorrow, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now. End up becoming habits and patterns that make it that much harder to undo. So stop being in neutral and attack your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, and even your finances. Being neutral to rest and recover, not to stay there. And then when it comes to your spirit, what are you filling your spirit with? What are you feeding your soul? How are you feeding and fueling yourself with the thing that is needed? Because again, if you are in neutral too long, you're not going anywhere. I know for those of you who are familiar with me, you've heard me talk about affirmations. It's like I've always loved affirmations. I want to say ever since I was a kid, and when I was introduced to poems, I always liked poems. It was something about it. And so I used to be one of those, who would go to the Hallmark store and buy those little inspirational cards. Those were back in the day. and I have inspirational books. And somewhere along life, I stopped reading it. And then when I really got into consciousness and pouring into myself and learning more about self-care and expanding my knowledge beyond a therapist, and after experiencing some things, and I'm like, I thought I just liked affirmations. And that's when I got back into affirmations and motivational and inspiring material. And then I learned, like, oh, I didn't just like affirmations, I am affirmation. But somewhere along life, I stopped feeding myself. And so in saying that, I wonder, is that how I ended up losing myself? Because I wasn't feeding myself. I guess I was thinking at the time, hey, I just enjoyed this. This sounds real good. But it was feeding my soul. There wasn't any input by me. It's not the input that you have from the external world per se. It's the input that you have for yourself. So in one sense, I was in neutral. I wasn't getting anything in my spirit, in my soul. So the same thing comes to you. What are you inputting inside your mind, and even emotionally, physically, spiritually, and even financially? How are you inputting? Because again, if you stay in neutral too long, you can get stuck there. And this is where a lot of you are. You stalling, because what happens to the car sometimes? It stalls, it stops. And this is why it's so important to be in environments to remind you not to stay stuck, to challenge you not to stay stuck, to encourage you not to stay stuck. Because we think that we can do it without those environments, but we can't. It's just not how it is. And I believe this is where we're hardwired for connection. It may not be in the way that you think. I really think we're more hardwired for connections so that it can be a mirror for us to see ourselves, and so that you can feed yourself. Because you can get some motivation and some frameworks from others, but you still got to be the one to do the work. So part of self-care is doing the things that need to be done so that you can be at your highest potential. But if you're in neutral, you ain't going nowhere. So this is why some of you are stuck. You're stuck, you're stagnated, and you're stopping, you're stalling. But the only way to reverse that, you got to put the car in reverse, or you got to go and drive. Which one are you going to do? I mean, are you going to go backwards, or are you going to go forward? You get to decide on that. But one thing that I will say is that by being in community, it can help you with that. And that's one of the reasons that I created Fortitude Free Circle for entrepreneurs and executives, so that you can supercharge your self-care to sustain your sanity and thrive under pressure. Because you can't do it by yourself. You're the one who do the work, but you can't do it by yourself, because there's so many things that happen. Life be happening, and sometimes you want to stop. And sometimes you may need to slow down, and that's okay. Sometimes you may need to get permission from somebody else, like, hey, this is too much for you. Let's rest and recover. Because if anything, I am not going to run myself to the ground. I've seen so many people do it. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I get this bag without becoming a bag? Ooh, that's another download right there. And so for those of you who want support of not being stuck in neutral, because rest is important, but also in doing the work that needs to be done when it comes to your calling. Comment circle so that you can join the circle or get more information. Because inside the circle is where you will learn how to pace yourself. You will develop the habits so that you can be healthy in your mind and your body and your spirit and your soul. And without overworking yourself, because sometimes we be doing too much. Because all of that sleep is for suckers. Now, there are times, you may need to do what you need to do, but sleep is not for suckers. You integrate that in so you won't get burned out. Because your health is what matters. It most definitely is. So, remember, you get to decide of how long you're going to stay in neutral. And when you're in neutral for too long, it's going to detach you from your calling. Then you're not going to even feel connected to your calling anymore. Then you're going to think, oh, this thing isn't for me. No, it's because you've been in neutral too long. Then you probably wanted somebody else to help get you out of there. People can be in assistance and can help and support. However, it still comes to you. It still comes to you. It's about what you're feeding yourself. That's just like, for whatever reason, like I say, I can't even tell you the reason why I had stopped with the affirmations. But what I learned from that experience was I came to that realization, I wasn't feeding myself. Wasn't feeding my soul. It was the input. Because without it, people can give you compliments all day long, but if you're not giving yourself the compliments, if you're not bragging on yourself, if you're not acknowledging yourself, just go ahead and shut the door. Just go ahead and leave. But what I will say, by being in community to learn, but mainly to sustain your sanity and thrive under pressure. Do not learn that, and then that's what leads to burnout and to all of the other health issues that come along. I'm not going to even say that come along, that ends up happening to some individuals. And there'll be seasons for things, but this is your season to thrive, and don't do it alone. Get the support. Sometimes you may need some motivation. Sometimes you may need some inspiration. Sometimes you may need a cheerleader, and sometimes you need that coach that's like, hey, you got this, move on. Go another mile, go another mile, go another mile. And that's what you get inside the circle. Again, we're talking about pacing things. And not overworking yourself to the ground. Because again, we want you to get the bag and not be the bag. And not be inside a bag. We don't want that. And so for those of you who have been listening, I appreciate you coming this way. Here on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook here. And again, if this resonated with you, share this with others who can benefit from it. And if you're ready to be inside the circle or want to find out more about the circle, comment circle.